Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Thursday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and last night, according to J.D. Davis, we did it again. And they did. The Mets came back in extra innings to secure a 4-3 victory, taking the first two games from the Cleveland Indians, looking for the sweep tonight. There's something special going on in Queens, and I'm really excited to be part of it, and I'm really excited to say that I believed all year. I'm going to talk about last night's game, performances, and seeking the sweep in today's series finale. It wasn't all sunshine and lollipops last night for the Mets. Marcus Stroman came out of the game after 4 innings. The SNY booth surmised that it was something with the fingers, thinking like maybe a blister issue, and then a few seconds later a stagehand showed up on camera with a piece of paper that said it's a hamstring tightness issue. So the good news there, though, is that despite coming out after 4 innings, it was more of a precautionary thing, it seems, according to reports this morning that I read. Stroman had an MRI, no damage, no structural damage, no nothing. He's okay. It was very precautionary. Any strain is considered mild. His status for his next start, which would be Tuesday night, is up in the air. So we'll see what happens with that. The Mets have an off day on Monday, so maybe they can manipulate the rotation a little bit to make up for the fact that Stroman might have to miss a start. But we'll see. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and think too negatively, because things have been going so positively at Citi Field especially. It's just been awesome. Last night was no different. Stroman gets out to, pitches 4 innings, pitches pretty well. The Mets break through against, I can't think of the pitcher's name, but he really stymied them for 4 innings or 5 innings or so before the bats kind of woke up a little bit and started hitting the ball. Joe Panic with an opposite field hit, the first hit of the game for the Mets. Juan Lagares continues to contribute on both sides of the ball. He had an RBI double to knock the game up at 1. It was an all-around team effort last night, and Rosario had an okay game. Alonso had a pretty terrible game. Conforto hit into what should have been a game-ending double play that wasn't turned, that allowed the tying run to score in the bottom of the 10th, and of course J.D. Davis became the hero with the RBI double to end the game. But it was a team effort last night, a major contribution from everyone on the team, including almost the entire bullpen. With Stroman leaving after 4, Familia comes in the 5th and pitches a 1-2-3 inning. He's followed by Brad Brock, who ends up giving up a run. I don't know anything about him as far as what his skill set is. I just know that he was very effective in Baltimore a couple years ago, and of course that he's a massive Mets fan, which is always great. But apparently, according to what some people have said on Twitter, he does not fare well against lefties, and Mickey needs to use him better and not let him face lefties. So I don't take that for what it's worth. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just repeating what I read on Twitter, which of course is always 100% factual. So anyhow, Brock lets up a run. Wilson pitches well. Seth Lugo pitches 2 dominant innings. 18 pitches it took Lugo to get through 2 innings. And I'm not talking about 2 low-stress innings. These were 2 innings against the best hitters in the Indians lineup, and Lugo mowed him down. So good for Seth. Good to see that blip in Atlanta last week was nothing to be concerned with and was not the start of some sort of downward trend. I suspect that has more to do with the fact that, as Gary Cohen mentioned once again last night in passing, last week's failure in Atlanta was more so because Lugo did not have enough time to get himself warmed up and ready to pitch. And that's the second time Gary has mentioned that, or that I've seen that mentioned rather, and Gary reinforced it last night. So that's what I'm leaning on for that one. So after Lugo pitched well, it was Luis Avilan to come on, pitched the 10th. Avilan, of course, I thought he pitched very well, actually, and the home run that Carlos Santana hit was on a really good pitch that Santana went down and got, and was able to drive out of Citi Field. So the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th, began with with the Mets trailing 3-2 rather, and it was weird. I really felt as though no matter what the score was, the Mets were going to win. And I've felt that way for a while now. And it seems like at Citi Field, man, there is some magic in the air, because that inning, that bottom of the 10th inning last night was the Indians doing their best Mets impression, it seemed. Where you know, they were the Brad Hand not covering first base and breaking for home first was so odd. It was such a weird play. And let's take a step back. I mean, that inning gets started with excuse me, a double by Rosario to lead off the frame. Joe Panik comes up and he bunts. Now, I'm almost always anti-bunt, and I go back to Moneyball. A bunt is an out. It is. I mean, you're giving the team an out. And in my opinion, Rosario can score from from second base. And you have to have some faith in the guys that are coming up. I thought Panik could have hit the ball to the right side, and advanced Rosario just as easily as he could have with the bunt, which, by the way, he executed perfectly. But that aside, you know, putting Rosario on third and bringing up Alonso, Tito Francona decides to walk Alonso and put the winning run on base. So it comes down to Conforto, who, of course, against a lefty, and not just any lefty, Brad Hand, one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. It's a bad matchup for Conforto. I mean, we've seen how poorly Conforto has done against lefties this season, whether it be earlier in the night against Oliver Perez or earlier this year against Jerry Blevins. I mean, Conforto he's got that classic lefty swing, and he just does not handle left-handed pitching well for the most part, Sean Doolittle aside. But he ends up grounding the ball to Carlos Santana at first base. So Alonso is forced out at second. Now on the play, there's one out, of course, because of the bunt. Rosario breaks for home on contact, and it looks like Brad Hand, his instinct is to go back up home. And it's an odd decision on his part, because maybe he thought the ball was getting through and that Santana wasn't going to field it. And that's why he broke for behind the plate. But that split-second indecision where he broke for behind the plate, it forced him to be out of play and in a position where he could not get into over to first base in time to cover. So the Mets get a super lucky break. The tying run comes in on a fielder's choice, and so Conforto's on first, and up comes Wilson Ramos. And I don't remember what Ramos did. I actually was thinking that Ramos was it was a good spot for Ramos because he hits left-handers so well, and because he goes the other way so well. But I don't remember what he did. That's terrible. Anyway, he did something to bring up J.D. Davis, and of course, as we know, J.D. Davis was the hero of the game. So what more can we say about this team? I mean, and what they've been able to do, and what they've been able to accomplish, and how this never say die attitude just permeates through this entire team. It is awesome. It is so fun to see. There's so much fun to watch. They genuinely and uniquely care about each other as teammates. You can see that. It's not manufactured. It's not artificial. These guys genuinely care about each other, and they will themselves to win. And Dom Smith, his presence in the dugout cannot be understated. He has been an absolute front and center cheerleader for this team while he's nursing his ankle injury back to health. Dom Smith has been as important to this run as anybody else, because he is so supportive of his teammates, and it's just so awesome to see this at the major league level. You know, these are millionaires, and they get paid a shitload of money to play this game, and they don't have to get personally invested. But this team has, including Robinson Cano, who, for all the shit that everybody has given him this year, he's been present and traveling with the team while rehabbing from an injury that he more than likely won't return from this season. But still, it's just this whole chemistry that this team has. It cannot be understated, and it's as big a part of anything as to why this team has been so good of late. They find themselves now 6 games over 500. That's the high water mark on the season, as Gary Cohen likes to say. The first time they've been 6 over all year long. What more can we say? This has been so much fun, and tonight the Mets go for the sweep with Noah Syndergaard on the mound, and I have to say, Citi Field best be rocking again, because this 10th man thing that we've got going on here at Citi Field with the fans I think it's starting to really impact the game, and keep it going tonight. Why not sweep the Indians? I mean, that is a statement. This is a good team from Cleveland, and the Mets just beat them. Not once, but twice. And they did so with 2 of their lesser pitchers on the mound. Tonight they have one of their bigger pitchers on the mound, and it's Noah Syndergaard, and he's been on a roll, and we'll see if he can rebound from his sweating like a grease pig performance last week in Kansas City, where he only gave up 2 runs. We'll see if he can do better tonight. So I'll be back tomorrow to talk about it, what will hopefully be a sweep. Until then, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. That's MISTER_MET. And as always, let's go Mets.